you to all our panelists for such a lively and thought-inspiring conversation. I think it was an eye-opening session for all of us. Now it's an honor to be welcoming the next keynote speaker on stage for the forum's opening address. Please join me in welcoming the UAE Minister of Culture and Knowledge Development and Honorary Chairman of the Pearl Initiative, His Excellency Sheikh Nahayan Bin Mabarak Al Nahayan.
My dear brother, Excellency, Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamad Atiyah, Nasser, Jada, Badr, Jafar, Ms. Liz Kingo, valued forum participants, distinguished guests and speakers, university students, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased that we will be listening shortly to a typically impressive presentation by the Secretary General of the United Nations as he concludes 10 years in one of the most difficult positions. His Excellency Ban Ki-moon is leaving a noble legacy in the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to transform our world. It is a consideration of those goals in relation to business that has brought you together today in Dubai. We must all be grateful to the Pearl Initiative and the United Nations Global Compact for making this forum possible. We are especially grateful for their dedication to the creation of a corporate culture of accountability and transparency and a sustainable and inclusive global economy. The United Arab Emirates is deeply involved with both the Pearl Initiative and the United Nations Global Compact. Within our country, 143 companies, business associations, small and medium-sized enterprises, NGOs, and educational institutions are already participating in the United Nations Global Compact. Abu Dhabi is the headquarters for the International Renewable Energy Agency, ARENA, and we have increased cooperation with other nations in developing solutions to important environmental issues that impact all human societies now and in the future. The leaders of the UAE are themselves dedicated to supporting a corporate culture of accountability and transparency and guiding a country that contributes to a sustainable and inclusive global economy. His Highness the President, Sheikh Khalid bin Zayed Al Nahyan, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister, and ruler of Dubai, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and the Deputy Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, govern in the spirit of the leader who founded our country almost 45 years ago. The vision of our nation's founder, the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, inspires us. In the words of the Crown Prince, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, I quote, "To begin to harness new resources of power and ensure we preserve the local heritage and cultural resources. Those resources of power are not only wind and solar and nuclear, they also include public and private entities that can deliver lasting benefits to people, communities, and markets. You who have assembled here today represent those public and private entities, as well as yourselves, since you recognize that individual behavior must support sustainable development goals. I am delighted to see so many participants from the UAE, and I join them in welcoming all of you who have traveled from other countries. We know that at this global crossroads that achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals demand a cooperative global effort. Thank you all for coming together in Dubai. Ladies and gentlemen, global cooperations can work wonders. Consider the latest wonder. Earlier this month, parties to the Montreal Protocol met in Kigali, Rwanda, and successfully negotiated a phase down of compounds known as hydrofluorocarbons, referred to as HFCs, compounds with a high global warming potential. The Montreal Protocol is widely considered to be the most successful environmental treaty in history and has been ratified by all 197 United Nations member countries. Established in 1987, the protocol has created schedules for phasing out substances that deplete the ozone layer. Member countries have been working for the past 70 years to amend the protocol so that it also combats the harmful use of HFCs. On October 15, representatives from all the countries, many of which were already taking action against HFCs, agreed to the historic amendment. Now, we should see a global response to a global problem. However, we can easily imagine the difficulty that the elimination of HFCs might entail. We have come to depend on HFCs in the refrigerators that cool our cars, appliances, and buildings, and agents that create cushioning and insulating foam, and solvents used in manufacturing to clean and sanitize, and in propellants for aerosols. Faced with this situation, we might readily conclude that the Montreal Protocol is bad for business and the global economy. But I want to argue, as does the United Nations Global Compact, that supporting sustainability is good for business. HFCs provide a case in point. Honeywell, an international company operating in 70 countries, you all know and heard about it, anticipated the need for alternatives to HFCs. For over 10 years, Honeywell invested in its scientists and laboratories to create new compounds that had the lowest possible global warming potential, but would provide similar or better performance than HFCs, without requiring significant changes in existing equipment that utilized HFCs. I think that it is safe to say that Honeywell succeeded. It developed a portfolio of materials with reduced global warming potentials. The materials are based on an HFO technology, HFO referring to the hydrofluoroolefin. Honeywell estimates that its HFOs have already reduced more than 31 million metric tons of greenhouse gases, equal to eliminating emissions from more than 6 million cars. Honeywell further estimates that the increasing global adoption of its HFO can reduce emissions by an equivalent of 457 million metric tons of carbon dioxide by 2025. The same tonnage that would be removed if 100 million cars sat idle for one full year. Honeywell will not be giving its HFO products away for nothing. Their sale will swell their bottom line. What is more, the work required to adjust equipment and replace HFCs with HFOs will create thousands of new jobs and strengthen economies. Meanwhile, other enterprises will be working to discover a compound even better than HFOs. Sustainability is good for business, but Honeywell and the many other companies celebrated by the United Nations Global Compact cannot alone win the sustainability battle. Each one of us must individually act responsibly. Likewise, governments must commit to sustainability at every turn. Just look at the scores of targets that the United Nations has established for its 17 goals. The vast majority of them call for governmental policies, procedures, regulations, and laws. The targets also implicitly challenge governments to be the very models of sustainability. Governments that do not meet that challenge will never persuade their citizens or their commercial communities to embrace sustainability. And we must remember that large elements of the private sector must, in fact, be persuaded. That is tricky business, and both the Pearl Initiative and the United Nations Global Compact recognize the complexity of the relationship between corporate responsibility and corporate profits. That recognition is illustrated by one of the very few UN targets that directly refer to profit-seeking enterprises, One of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals is, and I quote, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns, end of the quote. One of the 11 targets for that goal is, and I quote again, encourage companies, especially large and transnational companies, to adopt sustainable practices and to integrate sustainability information into their reporting cycle. That target is marked by its lonely singularity. A critical bottom line for the sustainability goals is that private enterprise must be somehow persuaded to commit to sustainability. I hope that your discussions today will advance that project, even if we begin with my conviction that sustainability, which is good for society, can be good for business as well. We will have to add a great deal of innovation, creativity, courage, and cooperative collaboration if we are to engage every element of the private sector fully. Let me close my remarks to you today by also noting the importance of understanding the psychology of sustainability. Leadership consultant Barrett C. Brown observes that the more we understand how psychology and worldview drive the behavior required to lead sustainability initiatives, the more effectively we will be able to cultivate them, especially during those times of rapid changes. Corporate leaders must develop a new shared understanding of what sustainability leadership requires, or face the prospect of becoming irrelevant with the likelihood that their businesses cease to exist. With issues such as global climate change, dwindling natural resources, and deteriorating global public health dominating our thinking, I thank you for your concern about sustainability. My, my best wishes to all of you for a wholly successful day. I thank you very much, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your support has been one of the strongest pillars in the foundation, development, and growth of the Pearl Initiative, a support that we are deeply grateful for.